Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to provide is true?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Jorde.
Thank you. State your name, sir.
Craig Huntoon.
And Mr. Huntoon, are you have relation with Huntoon Farms Limited?
Yes, I do.
All right. And does Huntoon Farms, sir, own 4 parcels in Dickinson County, Iowa that are presently being targeted for the Summit Hazardous Carbon Pipeline?
Am I supposed to answer with what you're showing me in red?
Well, I first answer if that's your understanding, and then if we need to clarify, we can zoom in.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, and then if what we're looking at on the screen here, there's parcels in red. Do you recognize any of those to be parcels that Huntoon Farm has interest in?
That is, that is part of Huntoon Farms.
Okay, all right. And I just wanted to be clear. I said 4. What were?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And during this process, sir, did you, on behalf of Huntoon Farms, cause to be created and filed what's known as a pre-filed written testimony with questions and answers and certain exhibits attached?
State the first part of that question again.
Yes. Did you, as a part of this process, cause to be filed what's known as pre-filed testimony with certain questions and answers and then documents attached to support your opposition?
Yes.
All right. And if we were to walk through all of those same questions that were posed in your written pre-filed testimony, would the answers you provided there be substantially similar to the answers you would give us today?
Substantially similar, yes.
And do you have any material corrections or updates you believe are necessary for the board to know at this time?
Maybe under updates, as far as, I feel like we don't, I've been watching some of the proceedings, and I just still feel like we don't know what we don't know as far as the risk that are involved. And it's hard to answer fully all the questions here because it just seems like there could be so many different changes with this process going forward.
Okay, so I think maybe to sum that up is what you're saying is when pre-filed testimony is prepared and you're asking yourself questions, essentially you can only ask the questions of information that you even comprehend or are aware of at that moment. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. Sir, I'm going to offer into evidence your Exhibit 301, which is your pre-filed testimony plus any attachments you provided back in July.
Okay.
Are there objections?
I guess just a clarification, on that very last part, the Huntoon Farms Ltd. Craig Huntoon initial pre-filed testimony looks like it was filed on September 11th of 23. I don't have any objection to the testimony. I just want to make sure there's not something different that was filed in July.
That's a fair clarification. If the filing date was not in July, I'm still offering that same exhibit, the pre-filed testimony of Craig Huntoon and Huntoon Farms.
Okay. So with no objection, the board will admit the testimony filed on September 11th and give it the weight due.
And then, sir, if you've been watching at this time, I will pass you for cross-examination from other parties, okay?
Mr. Taylor?
Thank you. Mr. Huntoon, I'm Wally Taylor. I represent the Sierra Club. And I just want to clarify the KMZ map. There are 2 red areas there separated by a green area, and it looks like maybe a county highway or something. Are both of those red areas the parcels that we're talking about?
That's my understanding. Yeah, the red areas are, areas that Huntoon Farms owns.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So who owns the area between those two red parcels?
Between the two parcels, just to the north of the highway there, or the road there, that was part of Huntoon Farms. We sold it to my tenant, my cousin, Jeff Jones. Sold it to his daughter, Kayla, and her husband, Andy Corcoran.
Okay.
And as far as just to the south, I don't know who owns that.
Okay. It's just a little unusual for us to have two separated parcels like that, but I note that you have some wind turbines on your properties.
Yes.
Okay. How long have those been there?
I'm not really for sure. Was it back in 08? Maybe 07, 08 is when they were installed.
Okay.
Right around that time frame.
Okay. And you notice the path of the pipeline going down the west edge of your north parcel and then diagonally through your south parcel. Is that where you understood the pipeline route would be?
I understand that's where the proposed pipeline, yes.
Yeah. If there's been testimony from some witnesses that they have worked with landowners and moved the pipeline when possible at the request of landowners, has that been your experience dealing with Summit?
My experience dealing with Summit has been very minimal. I think the only thing I had communication with was Tanner McDonald on some text, and after further discussion with the lawyer, I ceased any discussion with them.
Yeah. Well, do you feel if you had continued discussion, you might have worked out an alternative route or some better terms?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I do not want the pipeline going through Huntoon Farms. So whether it cuts through there or to the far left, to the far west, far east, regardless, we still don't want it, especially with the risk that are involved and what's being offered for it, the reward. It's way too little, and even if it was substantially more, it's just not worth it for us. So we don't want it at all.
Yeah. Summit witness Roger Ellingson indicated that, let me ask you this first, is there tiling on your property?
Yes. According to my tenant and my mother, I know they tried to they improve the farms pretty much every year with tiling. So year over year, it's been a substantial investment, and I believe I'd say every 60 feet we have some tiling and some type of crossing there. So we have substantial tiling throughout the property.
Okay.
As far as exact locations, I don't know. I know we hired out to some professional who comes in each year and adds to it to improve.
Okay. Summit witness Roger Ellingson indicated that he's been hired by Summit to repair any broken tile that's broken during construction, and that he'd repair it in the better or at least as good a shape as it was before. Does that ease any concerns you might have about your tiling?
Better? I think that's kind of funny. No, from my understanding is it will never be the same. Once you disrupt what's there, it will never be the same as far as the tiling. is concerned, and that's from the person who does our tiling.
Do you have any experience that leads you to that conclusion that it couldn't be repaired?
No, I mean I'm not professional in tiling, so I have to defer to the professionals who do it for a living. So I have to go off of their word. So I don't have any personal experience with it. So I just have to go with their word.
Okay. I think you mentioned risk. There's been testimony in the record here in this hearing that the risk is minimal, if any, and that perhaps landowners are being misinformed about the nature of the risk. Do you agree with that?
Objection, Your Honor.
State the objection.
Asked and answered. This witness's pre-filed testimony talks extensively about his concerns about the risks, incorporates phrases regarding risks at least 22 times in the testimony.
Mr. Taylor?
I'm asking about his response to testimony that's come out at this hearing. I think that's something that's come out after his pre-filed testimony and something that he is entitled to respond to.
I would join in that.
Okay, the objection is sustained, but you may rephrase your question.
How close would the nearest emergency response personnel be from your property?
Objection, Your Honor.
State the objection.
This was asked and answered of Kayla Corcoran. This was also asked and answered of Mr. Wall yesterday.
Mr. Taylor?
Well, I'm not sure this is exactly the same area of Dixon County.
Well, Ms. Corcoran testified, as did this witness, that she and her husband Andrew own the parcel just south of the northern Huntoon Farms parcels. Daniel Wall testified that he owns the parcel just north of the northern Huntoon Farms parcels.
Mr. Taylor?
I'll ask another question.
Thank you.
Summit witness Rod Dillon said that he would be training local emergency personnel. Do you have any indication whether local emergency personnel have the proper training or not?
I do not have any knowledge of that, whether they have training or not.
Some witnesses have said that this project would be a benefit to Iowa farmers. As an Iowa farmer, do you agree with that?
Do I agree it would be a benefit? My feeling on that is that the farmers, if this is forced upon them, that they are left with pennies on the dollars. That whatever they're offering to give us is so slight that I don't even know if laughable is quite the right word, but it's, again, I go back to risk reward. The risk that's involved for us, the liability that's involved for us, and what's being offered is just not there. I just don't see the overall benefits. I think there's other ways to go about it. I've heard some other people's testimony. I don't have intimate knowledge if that would, validity of it, if it would work or not. I just know with this stuff, from my research, overall, I just don't see the greater overall benefit, especially for the farmers.
Do you sell your corn to ethanol plants?
So I don't have direct control over that. My tenant does. Jeff Jones, he, with our contract, he controls where it's sold, but it's my understanding, due to the pipeline, he sells it to places. He doesn't sell it to the ethanol plant. Because of this, he doesn't want to support it. He is emphatically against it. So I believe he sells it to like one of the Superior Co-op, I believe.
Yeah. So do you feel that any of the alleged benefits of the ethanol industry benefits you as a farmer?
I'm sorry, could you state that one more time?
Do you feel that any alleged benefit to the ethanol industry from this pipeline project benefits you as a farmer?
Objection, Your Honor.
State the objection.
First asked and answered just prior to this question. Second, the witness just testified he's not the farmer. His cousin, Jeff Jones, is.
Mr. Taylor.
Well, I think he gets income from the farm, obviously, and I don't recall any similar question just before this. I think it's a new question, and it's a fair statement based on the allegations some witnesses have made in this proceeding.
I believe perhaps 2 questions ago, if not the immediately preceding question, was whether or not he agreed that this is a benefit to Iowa farmers.
But this
So
question,
3 minutes ago, Mr. Taylor, you asked Summit witnesses have said that this project would be a benefit to Iowa farmers. As an Iowa farmer, do you agree with that?
and my question now is specifically related to the ethanol industry. It's a more specific question.
The witness may answer if he would like.
Okay, so you're going to have to ask that again.
Sure. Maybe the reporter could read it back.
Can the reporter read it back?
We're working on it. Hold on.
Yeah, she will.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just can't see people, so I don't know what's going on.
It's all right. You're doing fine. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Do you feel that any alleged benefit to the ethanol industry from this pipeline project benefits you as a farmer?
No.
Why not?
I think it benefits the ethanol industry. I just don't think it benefits me. I think the pipeline going through there, the destruction of the soil, being compensated 3 years for this disruption. It's I don't see it compensating enough for it. It's with the wind turbines. You can see around the wind turbines, we were promised the same thing, where when they were put in, they're going to return the soil the same way it was supposed to be, that it was before, putting the topsoil back. I know farming is down to a science now where they can see within like every cubic foot or meter or something like that, the yield on it. And even then, you don't even have to see it. I've seen it with my own eyes. The yield around the turbines where the soil was disrupted is substantially less productive. I mean, the corn going just up to your waist when it comes harvest time, and that was done, what did I say, back in 07, 08? So 15 years ago, and still the soil is not productive there. So it seems like the same promises that were done before with the wind turbines is being done with this one. So, I have hard evidence of the same promise being done where the yield just doesn't come back in 3 years. That's absolutely ridiculous. You would have to take, it's more like a lifetime, a person's lifetime as far as the yield, if it's forced upon us, which, we don't want, but if it is forced upon us, the lost revenue for that easement has to be substantially more.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Ms. Colas?
Good morning, Mr. Huntoon. I'm also a landowner. I'm really curious. it's very unusual when you own a block of land like that to sell off part of it. And then when I look at the diagonal of where the proposed pipeline is and some of the topography, did you have any motivation? Was that a recent sale?
Objection.
Yeah.
State the objection.
Ms. Kayla Corcoran testified the other day that her and her husband Andrew purchased that piece of property on the southern boundary of the northern Huntoon Farms parcels. She testified extensively about plans for a house there and various other things. So it's an asked and answered question.
Ms. Cole is going to reply first, and then we'll get you, Mr. Jorde.
Well, it just seems highly, so was she part of the Huntoon Farms Ltd?
Well, let's let Mr. Jorde weigh in here.
It sounds like she might be moving on, but if not, the fact that one party to a transaction may have responded has nothing to do with this witness, and the question was his motivation and reasons, and I think she was getting at if it had to do with the pipeline. So in any event, I think it is appropriate from this witness's perspective.
Okay. Mr. Huntoon, you can answer that question.
Oh, I can answer. Yeah, that was what I was trying to raise my hand, because she is. I saw her testimony and I saw her intent, but my intent was not stated. So, the intent was never to sell part of the land, and I made it quite clear to them, saying I don't want to sell the land. However, this is a generational thing. This was a generational decision. My cousin farms the land now. I plan on handing my land portion of the land down to my kids, and then I want Jeff and his siblings, so Kayla and Andy and Kayla's siblings, to farm the land. So it was a generational decision, not just for us, for my kids' kids. That was the decision behind it. So it wasn't for sale just for anybody. It was very specific. And my mother and I went back and forth on it, and that's why we decided to sell it, because we see her as the future tenant.
Okay. You mentioned safety. Who lives on the parcel just to the north of the southern section?
So to the north of the lower section, just south of the road, I don't know that. I've heard their name, but I do not know them.
So it's not your cousin?
No, he does not live there. He lives to the northwest of me.
Do you have any confidence in a company building and constructing a CO2 pipeline with having the experience to do it safely?
Do I have confidence? I don't have complete confidence, no. Not just in the initial construction, but my concern is also more long-term as far as maintaining it, or if something to happen to them, let's say the industry goes bust and they go bankrupt, then who's maintaining it, who's owning that easement, who else could come in there and start using that easement for something else. It just seemed like from my understanding, is somebody else could come in there later on and start pumping something else through there, and then we have no say on it.
You answered my second question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Leonard.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of questions for you, Mr. Huntoon. First, just want to make sure I have the familial relationships straight here. So Jeff Jones is your first cousin, and then Kayla Corcoran is his daughter. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. when Huntoon Farms sold that parcel to Kayla and her husband Andrew, was that in the spring of this year, 2023?
Yeah, I believe it was closed in the spring, yes.
Okay, that was sort of one of my questions. Is I've heard various dates, either March or May of 23. Do you recall which one it was?
No, I don't have the documentation in front of me. So
Okay,
no,
thank you. Prior to selling that parcel to Kayla and Andrew, did you or anyone at Huntoon Farms have a conversation with Kayla and Andrew about this proposed pipeline and its location on that parcel?
Did we have a discussion? Definitely with her father, we've had discussions over a period of time ever since the beginning of this. We've had discussions as far as with Kayla directly, Mandy. I don't remember if we did. I can only assume that we probably had some discussions that it's could be an issue.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Jorde for redirect.
Thank you. Picking up on that, where Mr. Leonard was asking about Kayla and the Jones and the potential pipeline, you would certainly agree that there would be absolutely no reason to locate a pipeline immediately, a hazardous CO2 pipeline immediately next to or under Kayla Corcoran and Andy's home that they are built, correct?
Correct. That is my greatest concern with the loss of life, the liability to go along with that.
And you understand what we are doing here, regardless of how many weeks it's taking us or how important Summit feels like making money is, that this is all a theoretical project and there's zero restrictions whatsoever for Kayla and Andy to construct whatever they want near a proposed, possible, hypothetical hazardous pipeline. You understand that?
Yeah, that's whether it goes through there or the hypothetical, is it going to be there, or do they get the easement and it can move wherever they choose to have it if it's granted. Yeah, that's a huge concern of mine.
And
because, like I said, I see them as my future tenants, and I don't want to, not just being family, but also as a business. I see them, being the ones that I trust to farm the land. So I'm concerned with their safety.
and you discussed the phrase generational decision, and meaning you're not thinking in terms of years, you're thinking in terms of multi-generations into the future. And would you agree that a project that is based on a foundation of possible 12-year tax credits is the antithesis of how you view your planning and property as generational?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I don't think in today or just tomorrow. I think about my kids, their tomorrow, my kids' kids tomorrow. I mean, that's when I do my planning, when I do my thinking. That's what I think of.
And you would agree, would you not, that it would be irresponsible to grant a forever easement on a project that has no proven potential to be existing into the future, or even perhaps more than 12 years?
Correct. Yeah, forever easement. Even with like the wind turbines, I think it was a 30 or 50-year contract. It's a limited contract. It's limited easement where they can come in and have the turbines there. But forever to give that up, it sounds like you're just selling it to them and giving them carte blanche of wherever they want to put it and whatever part of the parcel that they want to have.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any more questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Huntoon. We appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Mr. Jorde?
Landowners will call Deborah Wheeler, who will testify live.